What is up, everybody? This is Anthony with VR365. Welcome to another daily live stream of the show. Yes, this is VR365 because we deliver VR gaming news and discussion 365 days a year, give or take about 25 days. Okay, so yeah, today is Saturday. It is December 29th. It is 12 noon. I am blah, 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 blah. I am located on the West Coast. It is the best coast, and it is noon. Okay, so what are we going to get into today, guys? Well, first of all, I want to give a thank you to I Am Ruts, who has posted some threads on like 6 or 7 different subreddits out there, virtual reality related subreddits, about our Game of the Year celebration that is going to happen on Monday. On New Year's Eve, we are going to do a live stream. I'm planning it to be probably 2 hours. So we're going to start at 10 a.m. We're going to start 1 hour earlier than normal, and 10 a.m. Pacific time, of course. And so maybe like in Australia or something, they'll be counting down New Year's. I don't know exactly how that works, but hopefully it'll be a New Year's countdown somewhere in the world, I would imagine. But yeah, we're going to do this on Monday, and we're going to do our Game of the Year awards. We're also going to do the People's Choice Awards. So basically my awards and your awards is what we're going to do. And we've been reminding people every single day, and I know you guys are probably kind of sick of it by now, but we got to keep doing this. So I'm going to remind people today, and I'm going to remind people on tomorrow's show, and then we're going to do the Monday episode, and then finally it'll all be over with and you don't have to worry about it anymore. But let me go ahead and pop it onto the screen real quick. And that, of course, is rock the vote, shock the vote, rock the vote, do all those sorts of things. So these are the 25 best VR games of 2018. We have singled out these 25 games. These are the games that have made our list. And some of these games got in here because they were Game of the Month. For example, Jim Hall was commenting about this in our Discord server, saying, one of these games is unlike the other. Like, why is this game Rolling Line in the list? Well, Rolling Line, hey, they won the month of April 2018. Rolling Line was our Game of the Month. So 12 of these games got in as Game of the Months. 9 of them got in as additional qualifiers. And then we had 4 wildcard entries as well that all got in. These are the 25 games that we've ended up with. And basically what I'm asking you guys to do is put these games in order from 1 through 25 if you want to really be about it, or maybe 1 through 10, 1 through 5, or maybe you've only played 3 or 4 of these. Just put those in order. Hop over to our Discord server. I made a brand new text channel about 25 minutes ago. Game of the Year rankings. You can post it in there. You can send me a private message and do it. Lots of different ways to do it, but you gotta bounce over to our Discord server and do it. So don't be doing it in chat. Do not do it in comments. I mean, you could do it, but we're not going to count that. You got to be in our Discord server to count that. So I guess it's kind of a secret way to get you to join our Discord server is pretty much what we're talking about here. But let me go ahead and get off of that. That is Game of the Year. That is Monday. Rock the vote, shock the vote, all those sorts of things. Okay, so what are we going to get involved with today? So I was talking about this yesterday. Not a lot of news is going on right now. It is a slow time in the VR gaming industry. We've got our big Game of the Year awards on Monday. But what was I going to do on Friday? What was I going to do today? What was I going to do tomorrow? So what I decided to do is I'm going to take the 3 major VR platforms that we have, and I'm going to dedicate an episode to each of the big 3 VR platforms. Yesterday we did PlayStation VR. Today we are doing Oculus. Tomorrow we are going to do HTC Vive. And in these shows, what we're going to do is we're going to ask some questions. What has Oculus, Facebook done right? What have they done wrong? What do they need to do in the year 2019? what do they need to do in regards to the follow-up to the Oculus Rift? And what do they need to do in regards to the launch of the Oculus Quest? So we've got a lot of topics to get into today, all Oculus related, all Facebook, all VR related, about where they are right now, where are they going, what needs to happen. So that's what we're going to get into on today's episode. And of course, tomorrow will be HTC Vive. So we'll really get into the HTC Vive stuff. And so that's kind of what we've been doing these last couple of days. Okay, so today it is all about the Oculus Rift. And we've got a lot of stuff to get into today. There's actually a lot of questions and topics and things to get into. So I'm going to go ahead and get this going right now. I'm going to get it started right now. No little small talk to start things off. Let's just get it going. So let me go ahead and pop our first question on the screen here. And that is, what has Oculus done right? What has Oculus / Facebook done right up until this point in time? And number one on the list is the best motion controller in the industry at this moment. At this moment in time, there is no better motion controller than the Oculus Touch. This is the huge advantage that Oculus has right now. You can get yourself an HTC Vive and a wireless adapter, but you're stuck with a really large Vive wand. It's not ideal. Okay, you can get yourself a PlayStation VR. It's a great setup for a low cost. We covered all that yesterday, but you're stuck with the PlayStation Move controllers. Those things don't even have a thumbstick or a trackpad. They weren't even really designed long-term with VR in mind, so that's not the way to go either. The best controller out there is the Oculus Touch, and I know there's people that kind of maybe hate Oculus a little bit. There's definitely people that hate Facebook, and Facebook owns Oculus, and there's some people out there, they just don't want to touch anything Oculus related with a 10-foot pole, but they are missing out on the best controller in the industry at this current point in time. Somebody is going to have to sideswipe it and bypass that. Maybe Knuckles will be the controller, but right now it is all about the Oculus Touch, best controller out there. Okay, what else has Oculus Facebook done right? Strong financial support for developers and creators. Now, this has also pissed a lot of people off. I'm getting my chat popped out over here because I did not have my chat situated. Okay, strong financial support for developers and creators. What we're talking about here is, do you remember way back in the days when Zuckerberg got on stage, and I think they made an announcement that they've earmarked $200 million, 200, to spend on basically getting developers to make games, getting developers to make interesting experiences. They had this war chest of $200 million that they were going to use to get really key titles, stuff like Arctica 1 by 4A Games, stuff like Lone Echo from Ready at Dawn. Of course, they also have Respawn Entertainment is working on a VR game right now as we speak. It's still unannounced. We don't know what it is. But they do have this war chest, and they've used it for a lot of different things. Spheres is an Oculus exclusive. There's just a lot of stuff. There's a lot of experiences that are on the Oculus Store that aren't anywhere else. There's a lot of exclusive games they have, and I know a lot of that has pissed people off, but at the same time, it has been really strong financial support, and that is a big thing. They have done that right for the most part. Okay, number 3, a mass market type price point. Yeah, you do need a PC. You're going to need a gaming PC, but if you kind of take that out of the equation, they do have a mass market price for the Oculus Rift. Of course, the summer of Rift, this was back in, was that the summer of this year? I can't even remember now. Was that the summer of this year or was that summer 2017? I think it was the summer of this year, right? Summer of Rift. They lowered the price to $399, so they got this great mass market kind of a price out there. You do need the gaming PC, but relatively mass market kind of a price point. I think that really helped out our industry in a major way. Number 4, mass market type marketing. To some degree. Facebook, Oculus, again, we're talking about a huge mainstream company. They can create really nice type commercials, Rift commercials. We've seen these things before. Every once in a while, these things will end up on regular primetime TV here or there. You might see a Rift commercial here or there on primetime TV. Mass market type marketing. Of course, they've done this with the Oculus Go. Really good marketing. We may have seen like Jonas Hill, Wiz Khalifa, all these other stars that they've had in their Oculus Go ads that they've had recently. We've seen this, and these ads are on like mainstream TV, so some mass market type marketing has been very good as well. Number 5, they appear to have a home run with the Oculus Quest, this new product that is going to be coming in the spring of 2019, the Oculus Quest. It appears to be a home run. Obviously, we're going to have to wait until it actually gets here, and we'll have to figure out all the ins and outs of it, but it does appear to be the right product at the right time in the right kind of a situation. And number 6, the Oculus Go is a very solid product on the low end. I actually kind of thought that the Oculus Go was going to really generate even more hype as a mainstream Christmas gift and kind of become that hot Christmas gift. I don't think that actually happened this Christmas, but they do have a very solid product, and it is on the very low end of the scale. Somebody can just grab it. It's an all-in-one deal. You don't need a PC. You don't need anything else. You can grab it for $199 if you get the bare minimum version. So Oculus and Facebook, they've done some good things here. They've done some solid things. Let me go ahead and take a look at chat and see what some of the people are talking about in regards to some of this. All right, let's see. Rudel Zavedno. Oculus is going to be standalone only in a matter of a few years. Zuckerberg wants to lock you into his environment 100%. Okay, we're already going negative. We haven't even barely started here. We're already going negative. Conrad Lawrence says, I don't hate Oculus or Facebook. It's just the USB requirements that turn me to Vive. Yeah, we're going to touch on that very soon. I Am Rhett says, touch controllers, better customer service, and exclusives were the things that pushed me over the edge to get an Oculus. You know, I didn't really think about the the customer service part of it. And that can be debated a bit. There's people that do complain about customer service, but nowhere near the Vive. I mean, it's in a totally different category than the Vive. I Am Rhett says, I was on the fence for a long time. Both Rift and Vive are awesome products. Rudel Zavendo says, $100 million is nothing. Red Dead Redemption 2 cost $644 million to make. Okay, I believe Rudel Zavendo, regarding the $100 million, I believe it was $200 million or maybe even $250 million. And yeah, if you're giving all of it to one company to make one single game, it's not a big game like Red Dead Redemption. That's not exactly what they've done. They've given money to Epic Games to make Robo Recall. They've given money to Ready at Dawn to make Lone Echo. They've given money to Insomniac to make a whole bunch of different games. Now, they may not have paid for these games 100%, but maybe they gave them like 75% of the money that was needed. You got to understand, all these other companies, Ready at Dawn, 4A Games, Insomniac, Epic Games, Respawn Entertainment, if you're a major video game developer, publisher that is in this industry, VR and AR is a thing. You're going to have to deal with it sooner or later. So for these companies, if somebody like Oculus could possibly come along and they can give you 75, 70, even 65% of the development costs of doing something, it's probably worth it to do it, because you need to get this experience. You need to be ready just in case if VR blows up in a major way. You want to be there. You want to be positioned to be able to deal with it. And companies like 4A Games, you know, they've gotten some experience with Arctica 1. Insomniac has a ton of experience making all kinds of VR games now. And so if VR really, really blows up, they're going to be positioned well. And so even if they're not fully funding it, it is a big deal. Conrad Lawrence says 2017. Okay, so Summer of Rift was 2017. Yeah, so they've had a mass market price now for a while. I mean, that was summer of 2017. You know, so Oculus has done a lot of good things here. Okay, so now what have they done wrong? This is kind of where we get into the fun part. We get to criticize. What have they done horribly wrong? Okay, and that's when we get into HTC Vive, that's going to be a real interesting one there. Okay, so what has Oculus done wrong? Let me go ahead and get this on the screen. All right, so number one, a console-like ecosystem on the PC rubs veteran PC gamers the wrong way. Yeah, this is a hard one to deal with, and in some ways, I think the console-like ecosystem is probably the right idea for Oculus, but a really bad side effect of that is you're going to rub a lot of people the wrong way. Your hardcore PC gamers don't want this. They don't want exclusivity. They don't want to have to like buy into a walled garden. They want this open kind of a thing. These hardcore PC gamers, these veterans, they want the Oculus Rift to just be a monitor. They don't want it to be its own platform. And so this has rubbed a lot of them the wrong way. And it sent a lot of them over to Steam, over to the Vive, and over to Steam. And there's a lot of people out there, they just are like, nah, man, I don't want to mess with Oculus. I'm not touching Oculus. Maybe they have hate for Facebook. You know, they just don't like Facebook. But also the console-like ecosystem is kind of an issue here. Number two, this is a really big one for me. I mean, a really big one. The USB-based tracking creates headaches. It does. It does. I mean, the hardest of the hardcore Oculus fanboys, you got to admit it. Okay, when you buy a regular Rift package, you get 2 USB sensors. And if you got a desk and you have 2 USB sensors and you space them you know, so many feet apart, and you kind of angle them in a certain way aimed at where you are, you run the USB cables to your PC, probably not that big of a deal. But the problem is a lot of us want to experience room scale. We want that full 360-degree experience. And even if you want to try to do room scale with just the 2 sensors, and a lot of people will try to do this, but if you're going to do that, you really got to move your sensors farther away. You got to go with the diagonal style. Now you're dealing with extension cords, USB extension cords. Then you get into all these different weird USB problems with your motherboard. A lot of us have ended up with Initech USB expansion boards, PCI boards for our motherboard, so we don't have these issues. I mean, I started off, I had 3 sensors at first, and it wouldn't work. My computer, like, I was having problems. I had to order an Initech USB card. It's just a bad look, Oculus. We got to get away from this USB thing. There's got to be a better way to do tracking. So that's a problem right there. Number 3, we can't buy gift cards or store credit. What is the deal with that? We actually talked about that a couple of days ago, so I'm not going to harp on that. But it's definitely a head scratcher. It's a head scratcher. Some people believe that this is just an idea where they want you to get your credit card in there on that account. And if they had gift cards, you could kind of bypass that. I don't know. I don't know what the real reason is, but that is an issue. Okay, number 4. This one's kind of a big one, actually. Monthly hit support is waning. It is waning. Now, do you guys remember the good old glory days of the Oculus Rift exclusive strategy where Jason Rubin was like tweeting out, look, we're going to bring 1 primetime game a month. And they did that. There was a time when they did that. There was a time when every single month Oculus had 1 big un. They had 1 big game that they were promoting every single month. That hasn't really happened. We've had a lot of months where there was nothing. Now, we've had months where there's a big game, you know, Windlands 2 in September, virtual reality, I think, was like June. And, you know, there's different months. They've had Red Matter in May. So they've had, you know, Marvel Powers United VR was July. So there's certain months where they do have a primetime Oculus exclusive, even if they pay for it or whatever. But there's a lot of months where we don't have a hit, and that is a little bit disappointing because that was really nice. That was something that we looked forward to. Okay, number 5, lack of removable storage for the Oculus Go, or some kind of expanded memory for the Oculus Go. Why didn't they just throw a little tiny SD card slot in there somewhere? They have the 32 gig version, the 64 gig version. Both of those are almost ridiculously too small, and it would behoove them to have much larger storage, because you don't want to have your consumers managing, you know, playing the old, I need to delete this game so I can possibly try this demo. You know, you get into all these question marks. I was kind of dumb. I bought a 32 gig version. I went with the cheapo version. I just wanted the $199 thing. Kind of a bad decision. Only 32 gigs of storage, and I am playing the shuffling game of like, okay, I got to delete this because I want to check this out. Now I got to delete that. It's a bad idea. Now, I know we might have some kind of expandable storage with the USB slot, but there's some issues with that. Like there's power issues with the battery. We still don't have that yet. Like that isn't here yet because there's issues with it. Number 6, Snapdragon 835 in the Oculus Quest. This is really a pain point for me. Like this is really disappointing because I believe the Oculus Quest might be the exact kind of product we need at the right time. This might be the kind of product that can really go mainstream, even more than PlayStation VR. You get rid of all of the cables. You don't need a PC. You don't need a PlayStation 4. You got one item in a box. It really seems like the right idea, but the Snapdragon 835, really? Is that going to give us the kind of power that we need? That could be a problem. And finally, the last one, the next Rift. The next Rift, whatever it's going to be, whether it's Rift S or whatever you want to call it, it seems like it's too far off in the distance. And so you got a lot of your biggest supporters, some of your biggest fans are now being tempted by other headsets. They're ordering Pimaxes and stuff. It's almost, I mean, we understand there was the great Oculus kerfuffle that kind of switched everything up. We obviously had, what's his name, leaving the company and lots of major things going on there. But Rift number 2 or an upgraded Rift, Rift 1.5, Rift 2.0, whatever you want to call it, it seems like it's really far off into the distance. So this is what they've done wrong. Let me go ahead and go back over here to our chat and let's see what some people are talking about here in chat. Rudel Zavedno says Zuckerberg wants you in his Quest social media platform prison. If Quest isn't successful, Facebook shareholders might force Zuck to abandon VR. There's a lot of ill faith around it at Facebook. Okay, yeah, let's bring that negativity. Let's do it. Hussein X says, I know Anthony would have cried if he got that far. I'm not sure what that one's about. No family sharing system, says Lethal Weasel VR. Well, you know what? There's actually, it's even better than family sharing, but I'm not going to get into that because I don't know, like, terms of service and all of that. I'll just say this. If you have an Oculus account, it seems like more than one person can access it at a time, but that's another story there. Lethal Weasel VR says, number 9, announcing Quest so early it killed Holiday Go sales. Yeah, that could be a consideration. Lethal Weasel VR says Fresnel lenses is one of the worst things that they ever did. Yeah, I'm not going to get into all the little nitpicking about like the current Oculus Rift, but yeah, that's true. Fluke Rogi says the USB situation is why a Rift S with inside-out tracking might benefit Facebook more than the actual users. It would drastically cut down their tech support needs overnight. Absolutely. And Lethal Weasel, number 11, uncomfortable, unhygienic facial interface. And you know what? We got to talk about that. We actually have to talk about that. That is true. And oh, I got to scroll down. So there's a lot more going on here in chat. I'm scrolling down. I Am Rhett says 64 gigs is why I didn't pick up the Go. Literally was about to order it, and I did, and I grabbed the 32 gig version, and I'm really regretting it. I Am Rhett says Valve Knuckles comes out, and my son gets a used Rift. And yeah. So that's and DLC isn't really supported on the Oculus Store. That's a good point by King Hell. The other thing is like until recently, Oculus didn't really have the ability to have demos, but now they have had a demo with Wrench. There's a Wrench demo. So Oculus has had some issues with the store and with making their store, and like some of the store issues are certainly issues. Okay, so these are some of the things that Oculus has done wrong. All right, now let's go to our next one because we have like 5 of these to bang through, and that's only 2 of them. Okay, so the next one that I have is what Oculus needs to do in 2019. So let's go ahead and see what do they need to do in this particular year. Okay, number 1 in 2019, I mean, we're not there yet. We're a few days away. What does Oculus need to do? Market the living crap out of the Oculus Quest. Yes, the Oculus Quest, I mean, this speaks to what Rudel Zavednu said. He's saying that the Quest is a big-time bet, and if this thing falls flat, he says if Quest isn't successful, Facebook shareholders might force Zuck to abandon VR. There's a lot of ill faith around it. And so speaking to that, if you want the Quest to be tremendously successful, you gotta market the living crap out of this thing. You gotta let everybody know about it. It's gotta be out there. You gotta have television programs. People gotta know what the Quest is. It's gotta be a household name. They gotta get it out there with like a Nintendo Switch, PlayStation, Xbox. It's gotta be a well-known commodity. They gotta market the living crap out of it. Okay, number 2, they need to do everything they possibly can to make the Quest as powerful as possible. And so this speaks to little tiny things, maybe some co-processing chips that could be added in there. If we're really stuck with a Snapdragon 835, maybe they could add some other chips in there. You know, they're going to do this active cooling thing so they can overclock the 835, but they've got to do every little possible thing that they can add into this to take a little bit of the requirements off of that 835, free it up for better quality games. Because the bottom line, I mean, the Quest, this is a bit of a worry for me right here. I mean, this is a legitimate worry because I go into a game like Eclipse Edge of Light for the Oculus Go. It's a pretty cool game. I'm walking around this world. I feel like I'm in a VR world on my Go. It's pretty sweet, right? But then you're looking at the walls and you're looking at the floor and you see the seams and you see little cracks and you see where the lack of power starts to show itself. And this is with a Snapdragon 825, I believe. And the Quest is going to have an 835. But is it really going to be night and day from the 825 to the 835? I don't think it's going to be quite night and day enough. So they're going to have to do every little thing they can to try to squeeze every little morsel of power out of the Quest and get the developers to alter their art styles a little bit and try to hide the limitations of the Quest as much as possible. It's really going to be an engineering achievement if they're able to do all of these things and make that work out. Okay, number 3, they need to return to a monthly barrage of strong Rift releases. And unfortunately, I don't know that this one is very likely. And one of the things that people are talking about in chat as well is, does Oculus even really care about the Rift anymore? Like behind closed doors, does Oculus, you know, Brendan Arib, he left the company and there's a lot of rumors why he left. And the most popular rumor is that internally, Oculus is basically backing away from high-end PC VR, that it's not really part of their focus. They're not going to abandon it completely because they don't want the pitchforks out, but they're backing away off of it. So will they return to a monthly barrage of strong Rift releases? I don't know, but it's kind of what they need to do. Number 4, they need to give the hardcore base a nice tease of the Rift follow-up. I don't believe we're going to get a Rift 1.5, a Rift S, whatever you want to call it. I do not believe we're going to get that in the year 2019. And the primary reason I think so is the year 2019 is the year of the Oculus Quest. I just don't think they're going to bring another product out that's going to cloud the message. The Oculus Quest is what, like April 30th is the first day of F8. So they're going to launch the Oculus Quest on that day. And so the year of 2019 is all about the Quest. I don't think they're going to mix the message. But at Oculus Connect 6, they absolutely can have a really nice tease of the Rift follow-up, and maybe even some teases prior to then, some very small teases to let their hardcore base know that they are not completely forgotten. There is going to be a follow-up to the Rift. Number 5, enable users to buy gift cards and gift games and all of those sorts of things. These are like, and number 6, improve the layout of their online store. Their online store, like looking up, like I can't find out what day did a game release. Like this kind of information should be out there. Anything that Steam does on their store, the Oculus should have as much information or more. And like you go to these different Rift games, you don't know what day it came out because it doesn't show you on the store. There's lots of other little things about it. Just the store needs a bit of an improve. It needs kind of a complete overhaul. I know they kind of fixed it a little bit, but they almost need to like throw the whole thing away and redo it again as well. Number 7, maybe they need, because I don't think they're going to get rid of the Oculus Go. I think the Oculus Go is still going to be a product for them. It's going to be a real low-end product, but I think they need to revise it. Get rid of the 32 gig version, introduce a 64 gig version that does have a little expandable memory slot on there, and then also have a 128 gig version that has an expandable memory slot. Or if you're going to stick with the 32 gig version, maybe drop the price down to $149, maybe even go lower. The race to $99 could be a possibility. These are some of the things that Oculus needs to get done in the year 2019. All right, let me go ahead and bounce back over here. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and put a different trailer on the screen real quick as I'll take a look at chat. So I'll go ahead and throw a trailer on, and let's go ahead and take a look at what's going on here in chat. Okay, let's see here. So Zeke is a new chatter that we haven't seen before. At least I don't remember Zeke, but he says, where is PC VR going to be in 8 years? If PlayStation VR 2 is locked into current PC VR graphical standards, doesn't that hold Sony back and therefore the whole entire industry? Well, the truth of the matter is like, I think if you're looking for just pure graphical horsepower, you might be a bit disappointed because honestly, I think we need to start moving away from wired headsets. And if you move away from wired headsets, you're talking standalone. It's going to get complicated. I mean, really, trying to predict how all this is going to play out. We are going to have high-end VR, but at the same time, I don't know that high-end VR is really going to go mass market. We're looking at this Quest commercial right here, and you see somebody dancing around, playing the Quest in their living room. There's no wires anywhere. That's kind of the future, I believe. Let's see. Continuing to go down. Stormlands may be ported to the Quest. That's crunchy. That's going to be very difficult on that 835. Great Tantrum says, I hope that the Quest can be used for PC VR to take advantage of its higher resolution. I kind of doubt this. I know that people do want this, and yes, it does make sense, but it doesn't really behoove Oculus. They're going to be selling the Quest. They might be losing money with every Quest purchase. Every single Quest that they sell, they might be taking a $20, $30 hit for every single unit. So I don't think they really want you to buy a Quest and not use it for what it's intended to be used for, which is to buy all of their games, to get locked up in their ecosystem. Now you could say, well, hey, you're still going to be on their ecosystem, just the PC VR ecosystem, but you might be able to use it for Steam VR, right? They're not getting money out of that. Why are they going to subsidize a hardware product that you might be using with Steam and they get no money out of it whatsoever. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think they're just going to sidestep that, and they're going to talk about, well, maybe in the future we could support it or whatever, but they're always just going to kind of let a sleeping dog lie. And I don't know that they're going to do that. I know you guys want it. I just don't know that they're going to do that. Hussein X says, there is a rumor by a journalist that Quest will have a Snapdragon 845. Yes, we did hear about this a little bit, that it might not necessarily be set in stone that it's an 835, but that seems kind of bizarre to me that they wouldn't know that at this point in time, unless it's a timing kind of an issue. I mean, think about this. The Oculus Quest, if it's coming out on April 30th, they have to start the manufacturing process. I mean, they might already have to start them, like, they might need to be manufacturing these things right now. How long of a lead up time do you need to have these things at Best Buy, at Walmart, at Target, at Costco, on Amazon.com on April 30th to have these boxes available on April 30th, 2019? When does the manufacturing process need to begin? Because I could imagine them trying to wait to the last possible second to see if maybe they can get a better deal and be able to throw that 845 in there. Just don't know that that's going to happen. Matthew Lake says, didn't Nate say that we'll hear more about the next Rift in the coming months? Yeah, I do believe that we heard about that. We could hear something about an improved Rift around GDC time. They're not going to want to talk too much about it, though, because they don't want to confuse the issue. It's all about the Oculus Quest. And their hardest of the hardcore base, even though they may want a Rift much more than they want a Quest, they're going to be very tempted to grab a Quest. They really are. They're going to be tempted to grab a Quest. And if you start talking too much about the Rift S or whatever the next Rift is, then some of these people are going to be like, I'll just hold out. But if you're not saying anything about it, if you're not mentioning it whatsoever, then I think a lot of these people are like, well, I'm going to get a Quest now, and we'll figure out what happens when the Rift S comes along. We'll figure that out on Oculus Connect 6. Crunchy says you can't get high fidelity with wireless. You need some low-powered, high-speed, low-latency wireless standard. I don't know if 5G is low-powered enough. Yeah, so anyways, okay, and Hussein X is with a update, says, okay, I checked again. That journalist on his Twitter said it is no longer true. It will have an 835. He was given wrong info by the Oculus staff. Man, it's a bit depressing. It really is a bit depressing. Okay, so now what we're going to go ahead and get into right now is let's talk about the Rift S. Let's talk about, or whatever it's going to be, the follow-up to the next Rift. What do we need to have in this thing? What does it need to have? What needs to happen? What are the key factors for the next Rift? So I'm going to go ahead and pop this puppy on the screen. Okay, so now, before I get into this, guys, I want to say that, look, I haven't spent like a whole bunch of days figuring all of this out. This is something I've whipped up earlier this morning and was just like thinking, hey, what are some things the next Rift need, and typing it up. So I'm not covering everything. There's going to be some major things I'm missing. Maybe some of this stuff is going to be kind of wrong and not relevant or whatever. So just please understand, we do a show every day. This is VR365. I did a show yesterday. I'm doing a show right now. I'm doing a show tomorrow, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So, we got to bang these things out. So this is not necessarily going to be the perfect breakdown on key factors for the next Rift, but these are some that came to mind for me. Number one, a spring 2020 launch. So basically like 1 year after the Oculus Quest. That is when we need this updated Rift, because we're not getting the half dome. We're not getting varifocal lenses and all that. We're not getting a truly next generation Rift. So it doesn't need to be that far into the future. A spring 2020 launch, I think, is mission critical, because otherwise you're going to lose your hardcore base. There's going to be something else. We know that Valve is going to have some other headsets. Vive is going to have a legit 2.0 Vive at some point in time. LG might enter into the equation. There's other companies that could come in they can't wait too long. So I think spring 2020 has to be when we get this next Rift. Number 2, and this might actually be the most important thing of all, a totally new tracking system. I don't give a damn where they go, but it better not be USBs. It cannot be USBs. The USB idea needs to die. That needs to be over. Like, either swallow your pride, Oculus, and license the Steam technology. Like, how embarrassing would that be? But seriously, like, Steam will license the Lighthouse technology to Oculus if they came with their tail between the leg and said, please, Gaben, help us out. Either do that or come out with some next level inside-out tracking. I don't know. I don't know what you're going to do, but god damn it, please get rid of the USBs. We don't need to be running all kinds of wires back to our PCs. We want to have room scale, so we want 3 or 4 tracking sensors to make sure we're covered here. But no USBs. Got to get rid of the USBs. Okay, number 3, a major resolution bump. And when I'm talking about a major resolution bump, I'm talking beyond like Vive Pro, beyond Samsung Odyssey and Odyssey Plus. You got to jump beyond that. Now, I'm not saying we're going to jump into like some crazy high resolutions, but we need a pretty decent major resolution bump. And now part of this, there may be concerns about like what kind of wires we're using, like virtual link. What kind of a plug are you going to have on the Oculus Rift? Because see, the thing is, if you make it a virtual link connector, then now none of us have a graphics card that has virtual link on it, right? Or, well, do the brand new RTXs have that? But basically, not very many people have a card that has virtual link, if any of us does. And so now you're requiring everybody gets a brand new graphics card. So there is some issues with that major resolution bump. Of course, I'm sure there is a new HDMI standard that maybe that will help that out. Well, I'm not too sure about that. Go ahead and talk to Swee Viver or talk to Sebastian at MRTV. They will know all about that. Number 4, eye tracking built in. If you can squeeze it in for the right kind of pricing, I think eye tracking is a bit of a next generation kind of a thing. I really think it would be cool to have that built in, because what that allows, number 1, it allows foveated rendering, which is number 5 on our list. But number 2, it also helps with automated IPD adjustments, where it can automatically determine what your IPD is. So if you're giving a headset, you're putting the headset on a new person, a brand new person, they don't have to fiddle around with it and make sure everything is dialed in. The eye tracking solves that problem by figuring out exactly where their eyes are, dialing in the IPD perfectly to adjust for that, and then also foveated rendering. And then there's also the fact of, in actual gaming experiences, VR chat, all these different multiplayer, rec room, all that type of stuff, to actually have your eyeballs moving around. Poker Stars VR, anyone? You know, you play a game like that, you actually have eyeballs moving around. You can look at somebody, you can roll your eyes, you can do kinds of things like that. I think eye tracking would be a good thing. Foveated rendering obviously comes right along with that. Okay, number 6, this one is kind of interesting. I don't know if you guys will agree with this one, but let's think about Magic Leap 1. Magic Leap 1 is available in 2 sizes. It's available in normal, and it's available in the Mark Cuban edition. And there's a reason that they did this. The reason they did this is because of the optics are such a key factor, and there's so many different types of heads out there. It's not one size fits all. And I think when you make a headset that is one size fits all, you have to make all these different trade-offs. There's an IPD range that these headsets have, and they can only stick within a certain range because you're moving the screens a little bit this way, you're moving them a little bit that way. What if we had 2 different sizes? What if we actually made 2 different sizes of the headset? You have a normal size and you have a large size. And this way, your normal size can dial in a smaller IPD range. You could have a bigger sweet spot with a smaller range of IPD. The larger one, the same thing. And then there's also the issue of comfort. I'm going to grab my Rift headset here real quick. Okay, so here's my Rift headset right here. And one of the problems that I have personally with this Oculus Rift, it's not the most comfortable headset in the world for me. One of the problems I have, when I put this thing on, it fits me fine in every category except it feels like, I'm going to put it down now. It fits me fine in all the different ways, but it just seems like the sides of it, like it's kind of pinching on the side of my head here. And so I think if we had two different sizes, you also have a better ergonomical situation. So, you know, maybe based on your hat size, based on your IPD, you either choose small or normal or large or something like that. I don't know. Maybe I'm kind of off on an island with this. I know this would increase prices and it would cause a lot of problems because you'd have to have multiple SKUs. I mean, I understand all of that. I really do. But at the same time, if people aren't comfortable in a headset, how are they going to use it for hours on end? So maybe we need to get away from the idea that one size fits all. I mean, look at the Samsung Odyssey Plus and the regular Odyssey and how many people buy this and it just doesn't fit their head. It just doesn't fit right. If we got away from the one size fits all, I think that might help with that. Okay, number 7. This is a hard one because you need to have the price staying within a reasonable range. Unless they're going to keep normal Rift around, and we don't know what they're going to do here. Are they going to keep the regular Rift around and lower it down to $299.99 and, you know, make, like, have these different stages, you know, Oculus Rift starting at $299, or the Rift Plus, or the Rift Advance, or whatever they call it, Super Rift. You know, it comes in at a much higher price. But whatever the case is, it's got to stay relatively reasonable. I really don't think they should go into the HTC Vive Pro kind of categories. I know some of you guys would love that because then that would mean they could add all these other things on there and they'd have enough money to be able to squeeze everything in. Number 8, a larger FOV, even if it's not in the half dome neighborhood. I don't know that we're going to get any half dome related type stuff with this particular Rift. Remember, this is going to be a mild upgrade. We're not getting a major, this is not like Rift, the new Rift that we've always been dreaming about. That was Brennan Areeb's dream, and that dream apparently died. That dream crashed and burned. We're going to get an updated Rift. It's going to have improvements, but I don't think we're going to be in the half dome world. However, it'd be nice to be at, say, like 120 degrees maybe. You know, could they squeeze a bit of a larger FOV so that we have an improved FOV that you kind of notice there's an improved FOV. Number 9, God rays, Mura, and SDE. Improve all of these things across the board. Maybe get rid of Fresnel lenses altogether so we don't have those concentric circles, those rings. Dramatically reduced God ray, an improved Mura, a little bit of some SDE reduction might help out as long as you're not making everything soft. So these are all the different kinds of improvements that we're looking at here. And look, I know there's a ton of other things that you guys would love. I kind of tried to stay in a bit more of a reasonable range here because I'm trying to be more... I'm trying to be more realistic and not just pray for everything because we're just not going to, like varifocal lenses, like you guys think we're getting varifocal lenses. I don't think that's happening. Not on this Rift. I think that Rift is like a longer term thing. Okay, so let's go ahead and see what people are talking about in chat. Let me go ahead and switch. I'll throw on a different Oculus related clip in the background here. I'll just go ahead and throw something random on here. This is Oculus Connect 5, some pictures from Oculus Connect 5. Okay, let me scroll back and see what some folks are talking about here. Let's see. Okay, let's see. Okay, so Catherine Chanson is checking in. Catherine, what is going on? She says mainstream doesn't look at graphic power, just quality and ergonomy of the operating system, comfort, design will appear for the majority. Yeah, I mean, look at the Nintendo Switch. We just had Christmas, right? And you know what? I went to 2 different Christmas parties and there was a Nintendo Switch at each of these Christmas parties. And they had it hooked up to a TV, and there were 4 kids playing with little tiny controllers, and they were playing Mario Kart or Smash Brothers or whatever the hell they were playing. And that kind of proves to you that we don't really need these next level graphics. Like, I've always been into like really high-end graphics. I notice all these little details and stuff. But the reality of the situation is your mass market people, like your average Joe Schmo, they don't notice all those lines of resolution. It's just not that important to them. So I do believe you're right. You're right, Catherine. Mainstream, like truly mainstream, doesn't care that much about the graphical power. And then we could also consider something like Astrobot. Astrobot runs great on a vanilla PlayStation 4. A vanilla PlayStation 4 doesn't have tremendous graphical power, and there's an example of a game that runs amazingly well and is doing wonderful things for VR. Crunchy says the 835 is locked down. Developers already have the dev kits, so we're getting into a little more Quest discussion here. Great Tantrum says the Half Dome. I don't think we're getting the Half Dome right now. Conrad Lawrence says, I think number 2 is a given in the next Rift. That, of course, is getting rid of the USB sensors, kicking the USB sensors to the curb. And Fluke says, you know what? Yeah, RTX cards do have Virtual Link. Okay, so Virtual Link is out there. It is in the building. The question is, by spring 2020, do you want to limit your potential Rift audience where they absolutely need to have a Virtual Link? You might be able to get away with that by spring 2020, because remember, this next Rift is going to be a higher priced item. It's not going to be meant for just every Tom, Dick, and Harry out there. You're still going to have the regular Oculus Rift. Maybe it's going to be down to $299. And so maybe this higher end Rift might be $599. You know, maybe it starts off a little bit on the higher range because they put foveated rendering and eye tracking, and they put a lot of extra stuff in there, a bit of a bigger FOV and some much higher resolutions and all these things, better lenses and better optics, and maybe they get it up to $599. And so then if it is a more expensive item, then your target market, they probably are going to have an RTX card by the time we get to spring 2020. So it's a possibility. It's certainly a possibility. Hussein X says wireless should always be an add-on, not built in. So HMD is cheaper. Also remember, high res, high FOV, without FOV rendering is a trade-off for having wireless too. Well, one of the things I will say about wireless, I really would love it if the strap, like I've talked about this many times before. So on your typical, I need to move this over here like this. Okay, so on your typical VR headset, you have this back part of it. You have the front part of it. And what some of these headsets are doing is they're putting a lot of weight back here so that the weight here and the weight here is really balanced. And that's kind of what like the Vive Pro does that, or the rigid strap here. And one of the things that I've thought in regards to new headsets in the future is, what if you built the wireless receiver? What if the receiver was actually built into the headset? Like, what if the technology was built into a rigid strap, built into here, so that every single headset that is sold has the ability to go wireless? It doesn't include it. It doesn't have the transmitter. It doesn't have the battery, but it has the receiver built in. I think that would be cool, but I don't know that that's actually going to happen. But I do believe that that would be cool. Scrolling through here. Okay, Orlor says Magic Leap. Oh no, run for the hills. Yeah, no, we didn't talk about Magic Leap. The only thing I wanted to say about Magic Leap is they do have these multiple sizes. And so you can have 2 SKUs. It is a bit problematic. It does create some issues, but you can have 2 SKUs. Crunchy says, or just make the Halo replaceable and use the same HMD. Hussein X says, a reason that Magic Leap has 2 sizes is they're charging a lot so they can make 2 sizes. Yeah, that's possible. And I'm going to scroll down all the way here. Okay. T-Dub says, I don't find Mira and SDE that bad on my Rift, but the God Rays can be bad. Yeah, you know, I was just playing something last night. What was I playing? I was playing Psychonauts in the Rhombus of Ruin, and I really noticed screen door effect. I was looking at some of these cartoon characters, and I really noticed screen door effect. But for the most part, I don't really pay much attention to it. The Mura thing, it's hard to make a really powerful horror experience when you can't make the screen look really black. It is an issue, and the whole God rays thing. I think God rays are a little overblown personally, in my opinion, a little bit overblown on the God rays. So let's go ahead. Oculus Rift NVIDIA edition. It just works. Yeah, the Rift Mark Cuban edition or the O.J. Simpson edition. You know, basically think of anybody with an extra jumbo-sized head. The, what's that guy that does the motivational? Tony Robbins, the Tony Robbins edition. Anybody that has a gigantic dome piece. Okay, I Am Rhett says, Anthony wants a pillow on his head. Hell the F, yes I do. You want to talk about a pillow on your head? This puppy is a pillow. I don't know what it is about this design, but this thing just feels so comfortable on my head. I really like the way Sony did it as far as the pillow design is concerned. Okay, so what we're going to do here now, the last thing I need to get into here, we're almost 1 hour in. I have one more of these things to get into, and that is key factors for the Oculus Quest success. Okay, so let's run over these babies, because let's face it, guys, the big thing we got coming in 2019 is the Oculus Quest. And here's something that's real exciting. The Oculus Quest is less than 5 months away. Do you know that in less than 5 months, I will have a Quest box? It'll probably be sitting back there. Do you see where my Firewall 0 Hour aim box is? That will probably be kicked to the curb, and there will be an Oculus Quest box sitting there in the next 5 months, like less than 5 months away. How awesome is that? So I am excited for the Oculus Quest. Okay, these are the key factors. Number one, the marketing message needs to be a home run. And I feel like this is going to be, like, I think they're going to do a good job here. I think Oculus's commercials are pretty good. I don't know what advertising agency does their commercials, but I think they do a pretty good job. I believe they're going to do this. I believe the marketing message will be good. So I'm not worried about number one. Number two is so effing critical. Demos. Demos need to be everywhere, and they can't be crappy demos. So this is a real problem. Like, this is a hard problem to solve. Now, I think the best way to do this is you go to malls, like you have, or basically Oculus, they need to have a bunch of like 18-wheeler trucks that are driving to major cities, and they set up, like maybe they set up tents outside, and they have all these little demo areas of Oculus Quest, or they go to your local mall, they demo Oculus Quest, they hook up with Best Buy, and they have demos at Best Buy for the Oculus Quest. But demos need to be out there, man. People need to try the Oculus Quest, because you can show somebody a commercial, but a commercial isn't enough. We've got to have a lot of demos for the Oculus Quest, and this is a difficult one. It really is, because if you hire an individual person to come to Best Buy at a particular time and give demos, it's very expensive. And if you leave it up to like a GameStop employee, good luck with that. Good luck with that demo working out well, or good luck with the person not running out of the store with, remember, it's wireless. You know, they're running out of, like, how do you do all of this? But demos, they got to figure out a way to do this. I don't know how they're going to do this, but they've got to figure this out. This is, number two is more critical than I think anybody realizes. Okay, number three, sneak in a Snapdragon 845 at the very last minute. Yeah, this was the dream that we were hoping with the rumor and all of that. How incredible, like what nice icing on the cake. It'd be the cherry on the hot fudge sundae if all of a sudden we found out that somehow they snuck a Snapdragon 845 in there at the last minute. Oh my God, that would be incredible. That would be a game changer for me, because I think if you had a Snapdragon 845 in there, then I think I think the Quest could last a while, and I think you could port a lot of these ports from PC VR and they wouldn't have to be as watered down. I'm worried. I'm still worried about the Snapdragon 835. I just don't know about that, but I don't know. Number 3, probably not. It's too late for number 3, I think. It's just too late. Okay, number 4, launch lineup needs to be strong, and there also needs to be good variety. This is another one like number 1. I think they're going to handle this. They're going to handle this. Beat Saber, Vader Immortal, Super Hot, you know, all the different Dead and Buried. They're going to have a strong launch lineup. They're going to have a lot of variety. I think that's going to work out great. So I think number 4 and number 1, I think those are going to work out really well. So that's a good situation right there. Number 5, the prices need to be lower than Rift games. Like, they need to have high-end games on the Oculus Quest, like legitimate high-end games, but I don't think they should be pricing them at $39.99. This is a portable platform. You know, this is mobile VR. I think they need to keep the prices a bit lower. So I think the high-end experiences should be $29.99 and things should be less. They've done a great job with the Oculus Go. You get yourself an Oculus Go, there's a lot of games that are $9.99, $7.99, $5.99, things like that, and I think that really works out. I think that's a good price. Now, I understand these prices are going to be higher than the Go, but let's keep them in check to a degree. Number 6, cross-buy. This has got to happen. This really has to happen. They've got 3 platforms now. They've got the Go, they've got the Rift, they've got the Quest. We assume that all 3 of these ecosystems are going to coexist, but there has to be some kind of cross-buy system, even if it's a situation where, for example, let's say you buy Dead and Buried. You buy Dead and Buried for your Quest, but you also have a Rift, you also have a Go. Maybe you could pay another $2.99 to add it on these other platforms. You know, they need to figure out some kind of way to make it logical where if a game is across all 3 platforms or 2 of the platforms, there's got to be some kind of cross-buy idea. I think this is a really good idea. It's got to happen. Number 7, the Quest should be designed to handle sweat. Okay, now, here's my theory on this. Look, the Quest is a wireless device, and people are going to get active in this thing, and for good reason. It should be like this. The Quest could be an incredible seller just from the fitness aspect of it. Like, they should have special Quest fitness games, all kinds of things. Like, there should be a lot of fitness stuff. So it should be designed in such a way where it can handle sweat. Now, I think the way that they do this is the facial gasket, like the foam gasket, whatever you want to call it, they need to make it so those things easily pop off. Another one pops on. You can have 7 or 8 of them. If it gets a little bit soaked up in sweat, you pop it off, you pop another one on. It's got to be easy peasy. It's got to be bada boom, bada bing. It's got to be designed to be able to handle some sweat. Now, I'm not saying it needs to be designed to handle like somebody just profusely just sweating buckets. I don't think it's going to be able to handle that. But it's got to be like the regular Rift is not designed for sweat at all. And that's a bit of an issue with the regular Rift. It's just not designed for that at all. Quest has to handle sweat. Okay, number 8, I believe they should concentrate on the best mobile developers. Forget about getting all of these high-end PC VR developers and trying to convince them to scale their projects down to the Quest. I'm not saying don't do that as well. Absolutely do that. But I hope Oculus, I hope Jason Rubin, I hope the people internally there are figuring out who are the cream of the crop mobile VR developers who have done some incredible stuff with the Gear VR and with Oculus Go and with Daydream. Find those developers, give those developers Oculus Quest development systems, give those developers a lot of support, a lot of resources, a lot of help. That's where you're going to get your best Quest experiences. Have those people scale their experiences up rather than having PC developers trying to scale their experiences down. Definitely do both. Absolutely do both. but concentrate on the mobile devs. Number 9. Now, these are kind of wishing upon a star, but number 9, I'd love a tracked controller as an optional accessory. I know it's not coming in the box, but hey, if we want to play Moss, if we want to play a game like Astrobot, if you want to play something like Thumper, you know, different games where you have an actual controller, why not have a tracked controller? Why not? You know, this is a brand new platform. You're starting over from scratch. It doesn't need to be in the box, but it would be nice if it was available on day one, if everybody knew about it. And so a lot of people, they might go to Best Buy, they might grab their Oculus Rift box, but they might also buy that optional tracked controller just to have it right away. You know, it could be a good option there. Number 10, a tracked gun-like device similar to the PlayStation Aim. And it sucks for Oculus because Sony has a great name. You want to have a name for this gun-like device that has nothing to do, like doesn't, like it can't be the blaster, the gun, the rifle. What, you know, you don't want to have a name like that. Sony did it perfect. It's called the Aim. It's the Aim because you're aiming it, but it's not really named like a gun. And I really would love the Oculus Quest to have a device like that because let's face it, so many of our games involve shooting things. How nice would it be to have a tracked gun? And Oculus, if you're going to do this, how about having a gun that snaps apart and turns into 2 individual handguns? It's one assault rifle, it snaps apart, and now it's 2 handguns. How cool would that be? That would be sweet. So these are 10 little factors that I think would be very nice for Oculus Quest success. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and throw on some other little video really quick here and have that running in the background. There, of course, is the Oculus Quest as this lady plays in her pajamas. Okay, so as that happens, I'm going to go ahead and check out chat and see if we got any new posts coming into chat. VR Spry Guy says, I've said it so many times, you can't understand VR until you try it. That's why we need demos. We need demos up the yin-yang. Catherine Chanson says, yes, a demo trailer. Yeah, like a trailer, like a freaking 18-wheeler that goes to every major city, have multiple of these things, going to college campuses, for example. Have the trailer go to a college campus. You got to get the Quest out there. You got to get everybody knowing about the Quest. They got to try it. Maybe some viral videos too of like people on tennis courts playing their Oculus Quest on a real full-size tennis court, or playing their Oculus Quest on like a full-size basketball court, like kind of goofy viral kind of videos. Those might help out as well. Let's see. Facebook needs to buy a game developer to compete with Valve. And that's Nikki V coming in. Lethal Weasel VR says, in today's world, maybe GPS tracking will be necessary for standalones. Find my Quest. Yeah. Or, you know, they have these little buttons that you can get that you can put on your keys and stuff, and it'll track it everywhere. Just slap one on the side of your Quest. Crunchy says, Quest will have software to support it and 6 degrees of freedom, so they have a good start until Apple releases some competition. I don't know that Apple really cares about VR that much, honestly. I think Apple is 100% focused on AR. I'm sure Apple does have VR in their labs, but Apple, in the same way that Microsoft has been able to dodge this whole VR thing when it comes to Xbox, Apple's also been able to dodge it as well. Like, they haven't had to come out with a VR product because VR has not blown up in quite the way that it needs to for Apple to feel like they have to do something. So they haven't done it. They've been able to sidestep it, and I think they're just concentrating on AR at this point. Hussein X says, cross-buy is the biggest incentive for me to buy a Quest. Now, here's the thing, though. I don't think they're going to grandfather in cross-buy, though. So, like, if you already own Dead and Buried, and you already own Robo Recall, and you already own Super Hot, I don't think you're just going to buy a Quest and all those games are going to work. Like, I don't think that's fair. I don't think it's fair to Oculus. I don't think it's fair to the developers of all those games. But I think starting forward, like starting new, like somebody brand new that buys those games, maybe then they get a major discount if they buy it for their Rift as well, or they buy it for their Go as well. But I don't think we can grandfather that in. I just don't think that's viable. Windscreen wipers, that's king hell. Yeah, because you're outside. Or yeah, make it waterproof as well. Yeah, so that's pretty much all the stuff we have there. Quest is less in every way except wires, but that may be the most important thing. Zeke, Quest is less in every way except wires, but that might be the most important factor. We've got to ditch the ball and chain. I was somewhere, I think I was on maybe our Discord server, somebody was talking about the ball and chain. And these wired headsets, it's a freaking issue, man. My Oculus Rift here, the cord, you can't really tell, but it gets so damn tangled up. It drives me crazy. I really want to go to wireless, but like the TP Cast, like all these different wireless things have their own set of issues. They have their own problems. It's eventually that's why I think the Quest might be the perfect product at the perfect time. Okay, so now what we can do is let's go ahead and switch over to our webby browser and let's take a quick look. You know, let's celebrate some of the best Oculus stuff. Let's celebrate some of the best Oculus Rift games that are currently out there. This is the top 100 at vrgamerankings.com. It was updated in mid-November. This is going to be updated very early in January. But there's tons of incredible games. Beat Saber, Skyrim, Lone Echo, Fallout 4, Onward, Rec Room, Echo Arena, Superhot, Robocall, Elite Dangerous, Gorm, Brass Tactics, From Other Suns, Pavlov, blah, blah, blah. I mean, you just go down the line. A lot of incredible games available for the Oculus Rift and a lot of Rift exclusives. Now, I know a lot of people hate the exclusives, but, you know, this is the console-like ecosystem that we're talking about here. Lone Echo, a badass exclusive, to be sure. Echo Arena, a strong exclusive. Robo Recall, primetime exclusive. Brass Tactics, one of the best VR games out there. One of the best examples of a VR game absolutely revolutionizing a particular genre and doing it on a next level kind of a basis. That is Brass Tactics. And the only place you can get it is Oculus Rift. Obviously, you can use Revive or whatever. From Other Suns, another great exclusive. Windlands 2 was exclusive for a minute there. The Climb, another strong exclusive. As we continue to move through, Blaze Rush, an amazing exclusive, also very good on the Oculus Go as well. And that should probably look almost damn near perfect on the Quest, I would think, if they bring that over to Quest. Other exclusives we have, let's see, Lucky's Tale, very strong exclusive. Marvel Powers United VR? Okay, maybe not. Arctica 1, I think, hey, it's a Michael Bay experience in VR. Arctica 1 is pomp and circumstance. I like it. A strong exclusive there. Continuing to scroll down here and look for some Oculus Rift exclusives. Dead and Buried, a pretty strong exclusive to be sure. Scrolling down farther, we got Wilson's Heart. That's a pretty strong exclusive. Virtual Reality was exclusive for a brief period of time. It's no longer exclusive. The Unspoken, a strong exclusive. Chronos. So as you can see, they got a lot of strong exclusives on the Oculus Rift as well. And then let's take a real quick look at the best games that are coming in the year 2019 to the Oculus Rift. Our top 40 most wanted Oculus Rift bangers. Obviously, Stormland leads the field right here. A third quarter release. You got Lone Echo 2, Population 1, Defector, Borderlands 2 VR. We have it tentatively scheduled for July 2019, a big summer banger. Space Junkies is still on the way. Firmament, Blunt Force, Zed is looking pretty good. The Elder Scrolls Blades, The Spy Who Shrunk Me, Vacation Simulator, Shadow Legend, Fisherman's Tale, Nostos, District Steel, a lot of good stuff. And Shaman Spirit Hunter, I believe this is an Oculus Rift exclusive. A couple of the rest of these might be some Oculus Rift exclusives as well. There's other ones that are coming too. So, you know, it's looking pretty good for the year 2019. We also have the Respawn game. We will probably find out about that maybe at GDC. We find out about the Respawn game. And there's going to be a lot of Oculus Quest games, possibly some exclusive Oculus Quest games that won't be available anywhere else but the Quest. We're probably going to start finding out about some of those in the very near future as well. So things are looking good pretty much every way you slice it in Oculus land. The downside, of course, is that, you know, the hardest of the hardcore fans, they don't have the Rift 2 that they really want. But other than that, I think things are looking pretty good. Oculus has basically these 3 platforms. They got the Go, they got the Quest, they got the Rift. We're probably going to get a Rift S in spring of 2020. We'll probably hear a hell of a lot about it at OC6 in like October or September of next year. Maybe a little bit about it at GDC, some information here and there. I think it's going to be an exciting year. I think 2019 looks really good for the Oculus Rift. And so that's pretty much going to do it for this particular episode of VR 365. Once again, I'll ask everybody to go ahead and rock the vote. Get your votes in on our Game of the Year. All you got to do is bounce over to our Discord server. We do have a text channel that says Game of the Year Rankings. You can pop your rankings in there if you want to. You can send me a private message in the Discord server. I'm VR Game Rankings over there on the Discord server. You'll see a picture of my mug on there. You can go ahead and do that. And tomorrow's episode at 11 a.m. We'll be back to our 11 a.m. start time on Sunday. It's all about the HTC Vive. It's all about HTC. What the hell are they doing? What is HTC doing? What have they done right? Not a lot, but some of it has been done right. What have they done wrong? What does the future hold? It's going to kind of be a mixture of HTC and also kind of Steam and Valve, because they're kind of together. Until we know for sure that they have divorced each other and that they've annulled their marriage and they're no longer together, they're kind of tied at the hip. And we're going to get into that discussion tomorrow. And then, of course, Monday, our 2-hour live stream with the Game of the Year breakdowns for all of that. That's going to be exciting. It's going to be fun. Oh, another thing, guys, this is huge. I should have mentioned this a bunch of times and I failed to do it. We are going to be giving away a ton of VR game codes on our Game of the Year celebration. We've got, I believe, 2 keys for Project Cars. We've got a whole bunch of keys of Slightly Heroes. We got all kinds of different games. We've got like a $10 PSN gift card. We've got some other gift cards that I think we're giving away. I've got some other keys I'm going to be throwing in there. We're going to be giving away a ton of games on our Monday live stream. So lots of stuff to look forward to for that. I will see everybody tomorrow on Sunday. Everybody have a wonderful weekend. See you guys then. Take it easy. Later.